How many times have you? Ragged over a careless comment, hurt from someone's judgment, wasted a day stewing over a dismissive glare? Life is full of moments that drive us crazy. A sarcastic remark, a disrespectful act, someone crossing your expectations. In seconds, you lose control. Anger flares, chaos clouds your mind, peace shatters. But ask yourself, why do others so easily trigger me? Is there a way to stay unshaken by others and master my emotions? The answer is yes. And Stoic philosophers uncover this truth over 2,000 years ago. They lived through betrayal, loss, and political wars, yet remains unshaken. Not because they were numb, but because they understood one profound truth. You can't control the world, but you can control yourself. In this video, I'll guide you through a 10-step Stoic journey to master your emotions, stay unbothered by others, build unbreakable inner resilience. This isn't about quick fixes. This is the art of living. Practice it, and you'll no longer be a victim of emotions, but their master. Let's begin. Step 1, the foundation of self-mastery. Before controlling emotions or shielding yourself from others' influence, you must answer one fundamental question: how do I truly want to live? Without clarity, you'll default to old habits, lashing out over trivial issues because you don't know what deserves your energy. Letting others' opinions dictate your worth because you haven't defined your values. That's why the first step in the Stoic journey, and the foundation for everything you'll learn, is define your life purpose. Not goals of wealth or fame, but a purpose rooted in integrity, dignity, and inner peace. Join me in part 1 to discover what will forever change how you see the world and yourself. Why this works for US audiences. Tone: direct, motivational, and aligned with modern self-improvement trends. First goal: become unshakable by anyone. You can't change the world, but you can change how you react to it. This is the core of Stoic philosophy and the ultimate goal of this video: to become someone never angry or disturbed by anyone. It might sound impossible, but when understood correctly, this isn't a superhuman feat. It's a trainable inner skill. Peace doesn't come from removing negative people from your life. It comes from despair to let them control your mind. The Stoic practitioner's goal isn't to avoid others. It's to stand unshaken among them. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher of inner freedom, once said, "When someone provokes you, realize that your anger is your own doing." This means you're not controlled by others' actions, only by your choice to adopt their emotions as your own. And that is something you can change. The goal isn't to become cold or numb, but to cultivate enough awareness and inner strength to avoid impulsive reactions and refuse to spiral into despair just because someone displeases you. The Stoic mind. A fortress of calm. Stoics treat their mind like a fortress. Outside, storms may rage. People might shout, criticize, or insult. But inside, there's stillness, clarity, and agency. This is where you master yourself. Imagine walking into a room full of negatives. They said things meant to provoke anger. Instead of reacting, you smile. You observe them like wind brushing a lake's surface. Why? Because their behavior doesn't define you. Your response is the true measure of your dignity. Why this goal matters? When you commit to becoming unshakable, you begin mastering your life. Every time you face an insult without losing composure, you grow stronger. Every time you choose not to rage, you forge your will like a warrior tempering steel and fire. The goal isn't to avoid being bothered. It's to become impossible to bother, because you've built an inner core as solid as stone amid life's chaos. Stoic action. Steps reframe provocation. See others' actions as external noise, not your responsibility. Practice detachment. Respond with logic, not emotion. Build your fortress daily. Meditate, journal, or reflect to strengthen mental discipline. 2. The obstacle. Your true enemy lies within. We've all been in situations that trigger anger, a rude remark, a disrespectful act, or the sting of being ignored. In those moments, blood boils, hearts race, and minds flood with defiance. We say or do things we later regret. Anger is instinctual, and here lies the first obstacle. We react instead of reflecting. Stoicism teaches, act from trained reason, not raw emotion. Yet most of us don't pause long enough to observe our emotions. We blame others for our anger, but the truth is, we get angry because our expectations are shattered. I'm angry because they disrespected me. I'm upset because they spoke rudely. I'm frustrated because they treated me unfairly. Notice the pattern? Hidden in these statements is the phrase, I expected respect, I expected kindness, I expected fairness. When the world defies these expectations, we hurt and we rage. But Stoics warns, the more you expect others to meet your standards, the more you imprison yourself emotionally. This is the second obstacle, handling others, control over your emotions. Imagine your emotions as a house. Every time someone angers you, you're handing them the keys. You let them barge in, trash the place, then blame them for the mess. But you open the door. No one can hurt you unless you permit it. In the modern world, the third obstacle is mindlessness. We live in a hyper-stimulated environment. Social media, negative news, public judgment. We react constantly without pause. Every phone buzz from a hateful comment sends ripples through our minds. We live vulnerably because our roots are shallow, our focus fragmented. Stoics see these obstacles clearly and don't hide. They accept that the world will always have cruel people. The difference? They prepare mentally, trained to respond unlike the average person. This isn't indifference, it's inner strength forged through discipline and true freedom. The ultimate obstacle isn't others, it's within you. Lack of self-awareness, lack of self-control, a fragile ego easily bruised. When you realize this, you'll see every burst of anger is a chance to train yourself. The world doesn't need to change. Others don't need to improve. Your job is to build a mind so unshakable, no one can rattle you. 3. Self-awareness. You hold the key. There is no true freedom without self-awareness. This is a principle every Stoic philosopher emphasizes. Know who you are, understand what you're reacting to, and question why it affects you so deeply. When you feel angry, hurt, or offended, that moment is an opportunity to pause and ask yourself, what's really going on inside me? Why did that person's words trigger such anger? Am I reacting out of fear, pride, or an old wound that hasn't healed? This is the essence of self-awareness, looking inward instead of outward, and resisting the urge to place blame. Epictetus once said something simple yet profoundly true. It's not what happens to you, but how you think about it that causes suffering. When someone says something rude, what truly causes your pain isn't the words themselves. It's the underlying belief that, I don't deserve to be treated like this. That belief fuels your frustration, not the person's comment. Stoics don't suppress their emotions. They question them. They shine the light of reason on the shadows of instinct. And here's one thing you must remember. You can't control other people. You can only control yourself. It's a simple truth, but without self-awareness, we constantly forget it. We try to change others, argue with them, lash out in anger, because deep down, we believe it's their job to make us feel better. But Stoics don't hand over the keys to their emotions. They keep them with mindfulness and intention. Self-awareness is the first step toward freedom. It helps you realize you have a choice. You can get angry or not. You can react or remain calm. You can be ruled by instinct or choose to master yourself. Without self-awareness, You live like a puppet, your strings pulled by emotions and circumstances. With self-awareness, you become like a skilled sailor, aware of the storm, but steady in your direction. You observe your emotions like watching a river flow without jumping in. Here's a simple example. If someone calls you stupid, how do you respond? If you instantly get angry, it shows you're still dependent on others' judgments. But if you can smile and think, that comment doesn't define me, I know my worth, you've just taken a powerful step in self-awareness. Self-awareness doesn't just keep you calm, it makes you powerful. Because you're no longer a victim of circumstances. You become the architect of your response, and that's where all change begins. So take time every day to observe yourself, reflect on your emotions, ask, what controlled me today? What made me lose my cool? It's not easy, but that's exactly why it matters. Ordinary people avoid their inner world. Stoics face it, study it, and transform it. 4, mindset. Change your perspective, change your world. There's a simple truth that most people overlook. You can't change the world, but you can absolutely change how you see it. And that, at its core, is the essence of the Stoic mindset. Marcus Aurelius, the great emperor and philosopher, once wrote in Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This isn't just advice, it's a strategy for living. Your mindset is the lens through which you experience life. If that lens is clouded by resentment, unrealistic expectations, or a constant need for things to go your way, almost anything can upset you. But if that lens is shaped by reason, compassion, and a deep understanding of human nature, then nothing can steal your peace. Stoics choose to think like warriors. They don't wish for an easier world. They train to become stronger. Instead of blaming someone for being rude, they think, that's just his nature. Like a dog barking or a bee stinging. Why should I get angry at what's simply natural? And instead of asking, how dare he speak to me like that? A Stoic would ask, why am I so affected by those words? Do I still care too much about what others think? This is a powerful shift in thinking, from blaming others to reflecting inward, from focusing on things outside your control to taking ownership of your response. The Stoic mindset is about knowing that while you can't control circumstances, you can always control your reactions. And when you master your reactions, you begin to master your life. The world isn't perfect. People will still be selfish, irrational, and rude. Not everyone has good intentions. But a Stoic doesn't use that as an excuse to lose their cool. They choose a proactive mindset. I know today I'll encounter people who are thoughtless, but I'm prepared. I don't expect them to be different. I just expect myself to stay grounded. This kind of mindset is like wearing emotional armor every time you step outside. It doesn't stop the world from bumping into you, but it keeps you from being bruised by every bump. And mindset is something you can train every day by asking yourself questions when negative emotions arise. What meaning am I assigning to this? Is there another way to look at this? One that's calmer or more positive? Is there a way of thinking that would help me grow instead of getting angry? Someone with the right mindset doesn't fear pain. They know that every event in life is raw material for building inner strength. The more irrational people become, the more chances they have to practice patience. The more challenges life throws at them, the stronger they grow. That's a mindset that never loses, because everything becomes fuel for growth. And finally, remember this: you are not a victim of circumstance. You are the one who decides how to see it. When you change your mindset, you don't just live more peacefully, you become a light in a chaotic world. Observation: become the observer, not the reactor. On the journey to mastering your emotions and overcoming anger, the most important skill isn't suppressing feelings, but rather mindfully observing them. A Stoic doesn't try to escape what's happening in their mind. They learn to step outside their emotions and view them as objective phenomena. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you can step back and look at everything as if you're observing from the outside, you'll see nothing is too big, too urgent, or too scary." This is the power of observation. It creates a space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you find freedom. Imagine negative emotions like a crashing wave. Most people dive into the wave and get swept away. The Stoic stands on the shore, watches the wave, and waits for it to settle. They don't identify with the anger. They simply recognize it as a passing mental event, like clouds drifting across the sky. When you start practicing observation, the first thing you'll notice is this. Anger doesn't just appear out of nowhere like you think. There are signs, a look, a word, a tension in your chest, a thought like, "I can't accept this." If you slow down enough to notice these signs, you can intervene before it erupts. Observation isn't about overanalyzing. It's about seeing things as they are, without adding, judging, or interpreting them through personal emotions. Epictetus once said, "When you see someone acting irrationally, don't jump to label them as bad. Simply say, 'This person doesn't yet understand what's right,' and keep walking." That's how you observe reality, without slapping negative labels on others or the situation. A practicing Stoic lives with awakened eyes. They start by observing themselves. When someone's words hurt you, pause and ask, "What am I feeling? Where is this emotion coming from? What belief is causing me to react this way?" When you do this often enough, you start to separate yourself from your emotions, like a gardener watching weeds sprout in the mind without letting them grow wild. You are no longer your emotions. You are the observer of your emotions. The beauty is, observation is a skill you can train. You can start with small moments every day. When someone interrupts you while you're speaking, instead of reacting, take a deep breath and observe, "I'm feeling irritated. Why? Is it because I want to feel respected?" Just noting that begins to break the automatic response. Observation also leads to compassion. When you can clearly see that someone else's anger comes from fear, ignorance, or unhealed pain, you stop hating and start understanding. From that understanding, you won't want to retaliate. You'll choose calm, not out of weakness, but because you've seen the truth of the situation. Remember, you can't control the waves, but you can learn to surf. Observation is the first step, and the longer you observe, the more you'll realize peace isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. Sixth control, master. What's inside, let go of what's outside. Among all the principles of Stoicism, none is more important than this. Know the difference between what you can control and what you can't. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, opens his Enchiridion with this timeless truth. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. Freedom begins when we focus only on what's truly ours. The problem is, most of our anger in life comes from trying to control what isn't ours to control. Other people's thoughts, other people's emotions, someone's disrespectful behavior, how society treats us, outcomes we expect but don't get. We get mad when someone doesn't act the way we want. We feel defeated when the world doesn't go our way. But Stoicism teaches, you're not owed anything by anyone. No one is responsible for your peace of mind but you. A Stoic doesn't live in the illusion of control. They know where their boundary ends, and because of that, they don't waste emotional energy on the uncontrollable. They asked one simple question: is this within my control? If not, I let it go. If yes, I take calm and intentional action. Anger almost immediately fades when you adopt this mindset. Let's say someone insults you. You can't control what they say or do, but you can control how you respond. You can stay quiet. You can speak up. You can walk away. No one makes you angry. You choose to become angry. That's the quiet power of the Stoic. Of course, it's easier said than done, but this is the path of inner discipline. Every time you let go of trying to control what's outside, You reclaim the energy that was leaking out. You become stronger, more self-directed. Most people think control means holding on. Stoics know real control means holding on to the right things. Your mindset, your reactions, your actions, and releasing your expectations of others. When you live by the belief, I only control what's inside me, you stop being anyone's victim. People might insult you, disappoint you, even try to hurt you, but you remain grounded because you know, my dignity doesn't live in their hands. Control isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about guiding them with wisdom. When anger arises, a Stoic doesn't deny it. They acknowledge it, observe it, and then choose their response with clarity. And that right there is true power. Not needing to get your way and not falling apart when you don't. 7. The outcome. When you master yourself, the world no longer controls you. In today's world, we're obsessed with outcomes. We often tie our self-worth to what we achieve, our accomplishments, recognition, and how others react to us. That's why we get angry, disappointed, or hurt when things don't go as we hoped. But Stoics don't live for the outcome. They live for the process and the integrity of their actions. Epictetus once said, in every situation, don't ask, what will happen? Ask instead, what is the right thing for a person of character to do? To a Stoic, the outcome doesn't define who you are. Your response does. When you choose calm over anger, you win, regardless of whether the other person changes. When you choose silence to protect your inner peace, you succeed, even if others never understand it. The most important outcome Stoicism aims for isn't changing others. It's this: to become the kind of person who is unshaken by emotions or circumstances. You might lose an opportunity, a relationship, or even your reputation. But if you keep your reason, act with integrity, and keep growing, you're still winning the inner game. That's the kind of result no one can ever take from you. Someone who hurt or disrespected you might forget about it quickly. But if you carry that anger for days or weeks, you're the one suffering. Failing to control your emotions doesn't just bring pain, it means surrendering your mental power. You become a victim, not because they were too strong, but because you gave them the power to affect how you feel. On the flip side, when you live Stoicism every day, observing, becoming aware, choosing your response, shifting your mindset, you gain a deep and lasting reward. A steady mind in the middle of chaos, a heart no longer pierced by words, a sense of worth that doesn't need validation, a life where you're the one steering, not being dragged. This is the result of mastering your inner world, something money, fame, or power can never buy. When you're no longer angry at criticism, no shake longer by disrespect, no longer crushed by betrayal, you've entered a higher level of being. You're not living to react anymore. You're living to build true character. And here's the paradox. When you stop obsessing over external results, those results often start to shift anyway. People respect your calm. Relationships grow healthier because you're no longer trying to control or demand. You earn trust because you've become someone who doesn't waver. In the end, the real result of not getting angry isn't about changing others. It's about no longer needing them to change in order to feel at peace. And when you reach that place, you've already won. 8. Choice, the power of self-mastery in every decision. There's one undeniable truth in life. We always have a choice. But it's exactly this truth that many people forget when anger takes over. In moments of rage, we often feel like everything is out of control, as if every negative emotion is an inevitable result of the situation. But Stoicism teaches us that emotions don't just happen to us. They are our responses to events. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote in De Constantia Sapienti, on the firmness of the wise, anger is a choice made by the mind, not an unavoidable condition. This is the essence of radical self-mastery. At every moment, you have the power to choose how you respond, and that is a power no one can take from you. You can't control what others do, but you can absolutely control how you perceive and react to it. When you face a difficult situation, say an unfair criticism, you have a choice. You can explode in anger, wasting time and energy on negative emotions, only to feel drained and regretful afterward. Or you can pause in silence, reflect on why it hurts, and choose a calm, thoughtful response instead of letting the storm take over. Choosing how you respond is how you choose the kind of life you want to live. Stoicism isn't just about staying calm. It's a full-on inner revolution. It's how you stop being a victim of your circumstances and become the architect of your own emotional environment. Every choice is an opportunity to train your character. Stress isn't the enemy. Losing control is. But once you recognize your ability to choose, you begin to master your emotions, not by suppressing them, but by guiding them. When you choose calm in a tense moment, you're doing more than controlling your emotions. You're building emotional strength. You're learning to see every challenge as an opportunity to grow wiser, stronger, and better. And by not overreacting, you're protecting your inner peace, while proving to yourself that you are the one steering your life. Remember, in every moment, you have a choice. You can choose to react impulsively, which might offer temporary relief, but can lead to long-term regret. Or you can choose to respond with calm and clarity, which leads to better decisions, greater peace, and a life of quiet strength. Stoicism teaches that true freedom lies in your ability to choose how you respond. When you choose calm, you don't just master your emotions. You focus on the one thing you truly can change, yourself. And that is the true gift of Stoicism, the knowledge that you alone decide what happens within your soul. Every small decision you make in a difficult moment shapes the person you are becoming. So ask yourself, what will you choose? Will you let your emotions lead you, or will you lead yourself through every situation? 9. Ethics, the key to inner peace. One of the core principles of Stoicism is ethics. Ethics isn't just a set of social norms we try to follow. It's the foundation for building a meaningful life, one where we aren't swept away by emotional storms, but instead stand firm like a rock in the ocean. To a Stoic, ethics means consistently practicing the 4 cardinal virtues: justice, courage, wisdom, and temperance. These aren't abstract ideals. They're lived out in real, daily choices. When you follow these principles, you don't just protect yourself from anger. You unlock a path to deep, lasting inner peace. Justice. Doing what's right for everyone. Stoic ethics starts with justice, a virtue that calls you to treat everyone with honesty, fairness, and integrity, free from emotional bias or prejudice. When you act justly, you're not thrown off balance by others' disrespect or harsh words. Instead, you evaluate everything objectively and fairly, without jumping to conclusions or reacting emotionally. Courage, facing challenges without fear. Courage in Stoicism isn't about the absence of fear. It's the ability to face fear and hardship with clarity and strength. When you refuse to let anger or fear control you, you're exercising true courage. Courage is stepping up even when things are tough. It's calm staying in the middle of emotional chaos and choosing to act wisely, not impulsively. Wisdom, seeking understanding in every decision. Wisdom is the foundation of all Stoic virtues. It's the ability to deeply understand the world and yourself. It's recognizing what's in your control and what isn't. It's choosing truth over impulse. Wisdom helps you stay steady in any storm by guiding your actions with reason and insight. It's about applying Stoic principles to real life, so your mind stays clear no matter what's happening around you. Temperance, mastering yourself, not your emotions. Finally, temperance is the art of self-control. It means not being ruled by short-term cravings, overwhelming passions, or bursts of anger. True temperance isn't about repressing emotions. It's about disappointing when they're taking over and consciously choosing how to respond. It's strength through restraint and clarity. When you live by Stoic ethics, you don't just build a meaningful and peaceful inner life. You also help create a better world. A person who acts justly and wisely doesn't just stay calm during conflict. They bring calm to others as well. In a world full of stress and uncertainty, ethics is the light that helps you stay on course. And when you truly live out these virtues, something powerful happens. Anger, frustration, and slowly despair losing their grip. You stop letting the outside world control your inner state, and you begin to experience real peace from within. 10th, patience, facing adversity without breaking down. In life, there will be times when you face trials, failures, and overwhelming difficulties. In those moments, what we need most is patience. But patience isn't about simply enduring without action. It's a powerful Stoic virtue that helps you confront adversity without surrendering. Stoicism teaches that courage means maintaining calm and resilience during stressful times, without allowing negative emotions to take control. Patience is not passive endurance. Many people confuse patience with passively putting up with hardships. True patience, however, is actively maintaining composure and focusing on purposeful action, no matter how hard the situation is. A Stoic doesn't just accept challenges, they see them as opportunities to build character. They understand that every challenge brings a lesson, and how they respond to those challenges is what truly matters. When adversity strikes, patience doesn't mean sitting still and waiting for things to magically get better. Instead, it's about staying calm enough to act wisely, even when circumstances are difficult. You don't allow yourself to be swept away by emotions during a crisis. You stay centered on your values and your goals. Patience helps you overcome life's storms. Life is full of unexpected challenges, personal struggles, work-related stress, relationship troubles, or health issues. But with patience, you can face these obstacles without letting them crush your spirit. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is this: nothing is outside your control except how you choose to respond. When confronted with a difficult situation, it's easy to feel angry, defeated, or overwhelmed. But the Stoic chooses patience, not a passive form of waiting, but a purposeful, thoughtful kind of endurance. They know that everything has its time, and by practicing patience, they allow themselves to grow and learn from every tough moment. Patience is the art of acceptance. An essential part of patience is accepting what you cannot change. The Stoic learns to accept what lies beyond their control without letting it shake their peace of mind. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means reducing reality and working with what you have. When you can accept a situation, you no longer have to feel frustrated or angry. You can meet it with clarity and calm. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "What stands in the way becomes the way. So why waste energy being angry or distressed over what you can't control?" Sure, patience builds mental strength. Patience doesn't just help you survive, it makes you stronger. When you practice patience, you allow yourself to build endurance and inner fortitude. Every challenge you face without quitting is a step toward becoming more resilient. The Stoic never lets hardships derail their values or purpose. They stay steady, knowing every struggle is part of becoming a better person. Practicing patience in daily life is a way to develop a resilient spirit, one that's ready to face anything without ever feeling or weakly defeated. Patience is the expression of inner calm and self-control, and it's a key ingredient in your journey toward lasting peace. Endurance is not just about putting up with pain, it's about steady determination and the will to keep going, no matter how chaotic the world may seem. And when you can practice purposeful patience, you'll realize nothing truly has the power to shake you. 11th reflection. the mirror to know yourself, improve yourself, and master yourself. In any journey of self-development, without reflection, we easily lose our way. A life without reflection is a life lived without truly understanding how we're living. In Stoicism, reflection isn't a passive act. It's a sacred ritual for training the soul. It helps us face ourselves, learn from our failures, and move closer to living with intention and integrity. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote daily about his thoughts, his flaws, and the things he needed to improve. His book, Meditations, wasn't meant to impress others with philosophy. It was a quiet conversation with himself, a personal practice of becoming better every day. His example is a powerful model for anyone who seeks emotional clarity and wisdom in life. Reflection helps you understand yourself. When you feel anger or sadness because of someone's actions, the best time to reflect is afterwards. When emotions settle, ask yourself, why did I react that way? Where did that emotion come from? In asking these questions, you begin to understand yourself on a deeper level. Maybe you weren't angry because they were wrong, but because your pride was hurt. Maybe you were sad because you had unrealistic expectations. Honest reflection reveals the unconscious motives behind your emotions, and with that insight, you can begin to manage them more wisely. Reflection turns experience into wisdom. A person who never reflects, even after going through hardships, won't grow. But one who pauses to learn from each mistake turns every failure into a valuable lesson. Don't be afraid of making mistakes if you're committed to reviewing them, learning from them, and adjusting your behavior. Seneca once said, "A day without reflection is a day lost." You can start small. Spend just 5 minutes each evening asking yourself 3 questions. 1. Did I act today in alignment with my values? 2. When did I let emotions control me, and why? 3. What would I do differently if I could relive this day? Just a few minutes a day builds self-awareness. Over time, you'll stop reacting impulsively and start living with greater intention and purpose. Reflection is how you renew yourself. Daily Stoicism doesn't demand perfection. It only asks that you keep improving. And reflection is the tool that makes steady growth possible. No one is immune to negative emotions, but a true Stoic learns to recognize them faster, understand them deeper, and respond differently over time. Real change doesn't come from dramatic moments. It comes from quiet, thoughtful ones. It's like polishing a gem, day by day, little by little, until it shines. Reflection doesn't slow you down or make you weak. It's the smartest step you can take to move forward. Reflection is the inner light that guides your path. It's the mirror that helps you face your true self. It's the bridge between failure and growth. When you practice reflection regularly, you'll realize every day is a new chance to begin again, to live better, and to come closer to the best version of yourself. Meaning, living not just to exist, but to live with purpose. When we ask, how can I stop feeling angry or let someone bother me? We are actually asking a deeper question. How can I live a life not controlled by negative emotions? The ultimate answer from Stoicism guides us toward one thing: meaning. Meaning shapes the entire way we live. Without a clear sense of purpose, we can easily be swayed by the smallest things, offhand opinions, disrespectful attitudes, or minor setbacks. But when you know what you live for, those things become nothing more than passing breezes. The Stoic doesn't seek comfort in the moment. They don't live to avoid negative emotions by running from life. They live to fulfill their duty, to cultivate virtue, to build a noble character. And it is this very action, no matter how difficult or full of adversity, that gives life its meaning. You are not born to please the world. One of the core principles of Stoicism is, you cannot control the world, but you can control yourself. And by mastering this control, you create meaning in your own life. You don't need to wait until the world treats you well to find your value. Meaning doesn't come from external sources, but from the inner commitment to live rightly, beautifully, and strongly in any circumstance. When someone offends you, you have two choices. You can let them control your emotions, or you can use that moment to strengthen yourself. In that moment, you're not only overcoming your emotional response, you're taking another step on the journey to live a meaningful life. Living with meaning is living not pulled by the meaningless. Today's world is full of distractions, temptations, and comparisons. Without careful thought, we can easily get caught up in the endless race to prove our worth through recognition, success, or material things. But Stoics chooses a different path. They live more slowly, but surely. They act less, but with purpose. They speak less, but with depth. They don't live to be liked, but to be respected, first and foremost by themselves. Meaning doesn't need to be grand, just genuine. You might not be an emperor like Marcus Aurelius or a philosopher like Seneca, and that's okay. Meaning doesn't lie in the scale of your work. It's in how you live every small moment. You can find meaning in giving others, in the quiet moments of being taught, or in making decisions no one will ever see. Because living according to your values, that itself is a victory. When you live with meaning, you're not easily bothered by others. When you live with meaning, anger has no place to take root. And when you live with meaning, you truly stand on your own, even in a chaotic world. Stoicism doesn't promise an easy life, but it gives you a foundation to weather the storms. And meaning is the shore that leads you to peaceful waters.